Mr. Chancellor, Chair of the Board of Governors, Madam President, graduands and honored guests. It's my great pleasure and privilege to present to you today Dr. Ross Koningstein, our candidate for an honorary doctoral degree. Dr. Koningstein is an engineer who epitomizes the profession. Versatility, problem solving, leadership, and a drive to make a difference using technological solutions for the world's problems. Dr. Koningstein started his engineering career right here on this campus, earning his Bachelor's of Engineering in Computer Systems in 1984, and then he went on in 1990 to earn a PhD in Aerospace Robotics from Stanford. This was followed by a brilliant career of engineering and entrepreneurship, co-founding and leading a number of highly successful startup companies before arriving at Google, where he became their engineering director and now Director Emeritus of Engineering. He's one of the inventors of Google's CPC AdWords product, and he's been instrumental in critical aspects of their business and technological success in recent years. As we know, with Google's growth came their bold vision in areas well outside computer search engines and information. For example, they recognize that a barrier to renewable energy is cost. Coal is still burnt around the world because it's cheap to burn coal. So when Google embarked on a project to find ways to make renewable energy sources cheaper than coal, Dr. Koningstein was the lead engineer on the project. Dr. Koningstein continues to this day as an advocate for technological solutions to the climate change problem, including innovative heating and cooling of residential buildings, and a fresh look at the important role of safe, modern nuclear energy. In 2014, Dr. Koningstein and his colleague, Dr. David Fork, wrote of the lessons they learned during their work in the realm of sustainable energy. To paraphrase, Dr. Koningstein argued, in effect, that the world needs more engineering. He said that in order to solve the energy crisis, we need transformative, disruptive technologies across all energy-consuming sectors of the economy, and he argued that these technologies will come from innovation. He's become a proponent of the model where government and business encourage their employees to spend 30% of their time on side projects and new ideas that have the potential to become transformative and disruptive. He advocates for a world where not only universities, but also government agencies, energy utilities, and companies of all sizes foster more innovation, more creativity, and thus more collective effort is brought to bear on the problems of the day. If I may, on behalf of the future engineers sitting in the auditorium that will drive this innovation, I would like to thank Dr. Koningstein for his efforts to realize this vision for a better world. Mr. Chancellor, in recognition of his extraordinary career as engineer, entrepreneur, thoughtful leader, and custodian of the planet, I request that you confer the degree of Doctor of Engineering, honoris causa, upon Ross Koningstein.
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the Board of Governors and upon recommendation by the University Senate, I confer upon you the degree of Doctor of Engineering, honoris causa. Congratulations.
Thank you for that introduction. Mr. Chancellor, Chair of the Board, Madam President, graduands, and distinguished guests, it's a great privilege to be here today and receive an honorary degree from my alma mater, Carleton University, on its 75th anniversary. Thank you, Carleton University. It is great to see you, the graduating class, and so many proud parents. And I didn't get a chance to, so I'd like to thank my parents for their support when I was at Carleton, so thanks, Mom and Dad. Being here on campus reminds me of a lot of good times, actually. My dad is a retired chemistry professor here. I remember several birthday parties when I was a kid in a lab where he had liquid oxygen, helium, lasers. I mean, what could be more cool than that? Another great memory from being here at Carleton, I have a bunch of friends that I made here over the years, and we still keep in touch. So I'd like to acknowledge them and say thank you for being here today. The last thing I really remember from Carleton is those tunnels. I still wake up sometimes with this dream that I'm late for an exam and I have to run through tunnel after tunnel after tunnel. So back in 1984, I was in the first computer systems engineering graduating class. I thought it was a great program combining what I thought was the best of engineering and computer science. It featured a lot of hands-on project-oriented classes, a lot of diverse things to learn, and there was an emphasis on systems design and systems level thinking, which I found very useful over the years, and it's a great way to approach problems. When I was graduated here, I was headed out to grad school. I wanted to go into aerospace. I didn't know what I would do. I didn't know what impact I would have on the world. Basically, I'd say I didn't really have that much of a clue. Over the years, there were lots of twists and turns in my career, not many of which I could have predicted. I've had to develop some expertise in flight simulation, computer mapping, distributed computer algorithms, auction theory, energy efficiency, and physical system modeling. I've been very fortunate. It's kept me invigorated, and I get to live in California. I've taken a bunch of chances, and some have worked out. And as a result, I feel I've accomplished some important things, and this convocation has given me a chance to reflect on that. I think there's a difference between the graduate I was in '84 and the graduates that you are today. I suspect you have a much greater awareness of the future you would like to see, and I bet many of you thought about what you would like to change and perhaps even how. I assure you that your career would be full of unexpected twists and turns as well. It is, after all, a lifelong learning experience. But your Carleton degree has prepared you well for this. The material was tough, the work was hard, and the base of material was pretty wide. And what you've acquired through all this, and you'll rely on this, is the ability to adapt. Now, for what lies ahead, I'd like to share a few things I learned along the way, and I hope they would be useful to you and get you where you're going a little quicker and perhaps help you in achieving your dreams. I don't have an acronym, I just kind of numbered them, so we'll go with that. First, be mindful of why you're doing what you do. Be more than a technical contributor. In 1962, President John F. Kennedy noticed a janitor carrying a broom in a NASA center. He interrupted his tour, walked over to the guy, and asked him what he was doing. "Well, Mr. President," the janitor responded, "I'm helping put a man on the moon." I've been an entrepreneur and started a couple of companies. In these situations, you need to have some new technology, you need to think about ways to fund the company, you need to hire great people, you need to market or figure out how to get customers in touch with what you want to give them, and you need to grow it. Whether you're a janitor or an engineer, you should contribute to all of the aspects of what make a company or venture successful. You'll have to flex different muscles than you've exercised to get your degree so far, although you've probably built a few of those already. And if you're lucky, you'll help come up with different approaches, shortcuts, ways to make progress or achieve success faster. This is the way impactful people get noticed. So think about how you can be most valuable. Think about why you're solving a problem. What is the most important thing to solve? Don't just delegate all of that to your boss. Think big picture from the start. Second, don't waste your time. There will be times in your career when you will have a project that has a few risks. Sometimes a company will go with the flow. It'll try not to rock the boat. It'll postpone the riskiest parts until the end. That is not the way to have impact in the world. In Silicon Valley, we're advised to fail fast. Don't waste your time. Be a quick learner, do what it takes to de-risk things early, and deliver results. If things fail, you've learned something new, and you can move on to something else. Yes, there is heartbreak and stress involved when things fail, and having a great partner and family really helps, so thanks Patty and Isabella. But a failed venture can lead to another successful one. That's how I ended up at Google. Third, along the way, ask yourself, what is your elevator pitch? If you have 30 seconds in an elevator with a decision maker, how can you convince them to give you an opportunity? When it comes to persuasion, engineers have lots to offer. Technical knowledge, critical thinking skills, data, and an ability to build compelling demos. So if you're in that elevator, use those skills. In the early days of Google, Larry Page listened more to engineers than he did to managers. That's because engineers have the capacity to zero in on the most important technical problems the company was facing and fix them. So when you're making your elevator pitch, talk about why you want to do something, why it's important, why it's impactful. Show them you understand the big picture. I've reviewed many resumes over the years, probably over 1,000, and I prefer to hire people who show me they can think that way. They're more likely to meet the team, they're more likely to make the team that they join successful. Fourth, you may learn something that changes your worldview, and when you do, own it. No matter where you go, be open to new ideas, things that challenge what you believe or the conventional wisdom. A lot of the really interesting opportunities can be found there. Let logical thinking guide your decisions and go where the evidence takes you. I spent a few years at Google working on improving renewable energy. Going in, I knew that solar and wind, both intermittent sources, were a good way to shave several percentage off our CO2 emissions, and that's a good thing. After a while and a lot of work, I learned enough to understand that while solar and wind may help, unfortunately they don't solve climate change. And this was a surprise to me, and it turns out it was a surprise to many people. And that led to publishing the article on what it would take to really reverse climate change, which is a significant undertaking. We believed communicating these interesting and perhaps controversial results would help put the focus on technologies, research, and development in things that really could move that needle in a big way. And that's why I'm an advocate for advanced nuclear energy today. People will always want what energy can provide. I remember jumping into a warm car in the middle of a -40 winter night in Ottawa, and I'm sure you've been there, and thinking, thank goodness for fossil fuel. A warm car on a cold night is just a good thing. And people really like what energy gives them. So if you really want to make a big dent in the energy field, you need to invent something that is an attractive replacement for the things that are real carbon creators. So we're talking about replacements for natural gas and aviation fuel. And hey, if you guys could invent Mr. Fusion, like from Back to the Future, that would be really awesome. And by the way, if you do, call me, okay? So think about what is it that would make the future truly different from today? And when you learn something, own those things and make them drive what you want to accomplish. And this leads me to my fifth piece of advice, maybe the most important one, and that is, I would like you to be brave. If you've got a plan to change the world, please do so. You've got an excellent degree. Do something awesome with it. Take chances, take some smart risks, reach beyond your ability, use your competence, and by now you've got many, to build your confidence. And use this in your career to take on bigger and bigger things and make bigger and bigger differences. Some say opportunity knocks. If you wait for that knock, you're just not going to get anywhere quickly. A fortune cookie once told me that not to wait for that knock, the door was already open. And there is some truth to that. But sometimes you just have to kick down the door. The biggest impact I ever had on a company was instigating Google's cost-per-click advertising system. And yeah, being one of the inventors required a couple of technical skills, but it was getting the entire ads team to be strong advocates of this idea, working through people that made a go-build-it decision happen. And the rest was history for Google. So be brave, take some chances, swing for the fences. You might knock one out of the ballpark. So I'd like to thank you for having me here today. congratulations, and I wish you all the best. This is your time now. Go take on the future.